Boom, hey internets, we're talking about creating a great name, an iconic name for your clothing brand, and we're gonna talk about it right now. Jon Phenom, the clothing brand mentor. I've been working professionally in apparel for over 24 years. And I have like over 700 videos here on this channel to help you launch your brand. Okay, big conversation. Had this conversation literally the other day with someone who was consulting with me, and we're talking about making sure the name you start with is the one you want to end with, okay? If you are iffy, if you're in the beginning stages of your clothing brand, which is typically finding the name, right? Many of you that talk to me, of course you have a big passion, you have a big drive, you might see other brands out there and say, man, I could do it way better than them, or maybe you're inspired by one brand that you just love the label, or you're a general lover of fashion and you believe you can be the next fill in the blank, whoever you think is a hot designer right now. No matter what your inspiration or motivation, okay, you're going to have a name of a brand. Now, I've talked about this in many different videos. This video here is a great one to watch. It has tons of views, over 6,000 views on it. So take a look at this one. This is the last time I talked about names. So I just had to make another video to say, wait till you have a name that really moves you, okay? Something that just really keeps coming back at you, saying, that is a really good name. So, spoiler alert, I'm gonna talk about things I've talked about in the other video, but I kind of have to. It's kind of the same steps, okay? But this will lead to a good place, trust me. So, very basic, easy for me to say, but I also have done it myself. That is, again, make sure the name is something that is iconic, something that really moves you, something that you really believe in, okay? That's number one. Number two, on a very practical sense, make sure you can trademark that name. Make sure it's a name that you can protect, okay? And you can jump on the United States database of different trademarked names and see what's there. But before that, before you even go to that site, and I'll have that linked below in the descriptions. But before that, why don't you just go ahead and run a Google search the internet for that name and how it's being used. Now, when I say how it's being used, in trademarking, there's classifications. So is it a brand name of a hat or a headwear company? Is it apparel and garments? Is it bags? There's a lot of different categories, right? There might be a footwear company that exists in Germany or Japan with that name, okay? And so there's a mix of due diligence with checking out the database here in the United States and just doing a Google search of seeing who's using that name in whatever way possible. At this point, I've said it many times, I like to use Evernote. So one of the tools that I mentioned in this video, in tools for starting your clothing brand, with a plethora of other tools to help organize the way you're dropping your brand. But here's what it starts with: a file with names. And so if it's you or you and a partner just contributing different names, and you can get inspiration from a lot of different things. It's just like an artist that's trying to make an album or a song, or a writer that's trying to make a new screenplay. You want to get inspiration from life. Maybe it's from music, maybe it's from listening to songs or movies or shorts on the internet. Anything that can give you a vibe where you're like, I can do many themes and drop many capsules. There's many creative things that I can pull out of this name and out of this ethos that I can go on forever. Most of you know last year I started my own brand, and part of doing that brand is giving you an example of how I'm launching a clothing brand. So Nonbeta is the name of the brand. That name was in my Evernote file for years. And basically it's a name I kept coming back to amongst maybe like 20 other names. I'll always come up with names and I'll always pop it into this file. I'm not looking to do another clothing line, but sometimes when I'm just trying to sketch together themes or collections or drops, or I hear something and I'm like, wow, that might be a cool either collection, the name of a collection or theme, or an actual separate clothing brand, I'll pop it into this file. And Nonbeta, that name was there for well over 5 years, okay? There's been many times where I come back to the name and I'm like, that is kind of a cool name. And so if you don't know, Nonbeta means this is not a test. This is not a test is also a hashtag I use for everything with the brand. So definitely part of an ethos. And when I say this is not a test, it's referring to we have this one life, we have this time that we have, so you gotta take advantage of this time. Very carpe diem, basically. And then there's another meaning to it, like non-beta, meaning alpha, beta, like not second place. So the athletic and the active and the sportswear and the competitive part of that brand, which I'm definitely going to launch in droves, is there. So now there's a very strong theme when I'm dealing with athletes. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge fan of MMA and UFC and just sports in general, right? I think it's a great metaphor for life. So definitely going to be involved with working with athletes, but it just gives it such a broad and wide theme. But the bigger thing I want to highlight here is not that I came up with a great name for a brand, because some people might not like that name, but I like that name. But it meets the mark, and I knew it was trademarkable because I basically created my own word with it. The biggest thing I want to outline is for over 5 years, I think it's closer to 7 years, when I came up with the initial name, it sat in that file on my Evernote on my phone or on my computer. It stayed there until I really would come back to it and say, hey, that is a good name. Because many of the names on that list I'd come back to and go, wow, that name sucks. What was I drinking that day, or what was I thinking? And so I came back to it and saw that name can actually work for a long term, and I could be excited about that as a name. I like the way it looks aesthetically in terms of the letters that are chosen. And so for you, is it a name that you love that feels unique and epic for you? And number two, is it trademarkable? Now, for anyone that's watching around the world, when I talk about the trademark database, the one that I'll put in the descriptions, that's for here in the United States, okay? And so you should have a version of that in your country, because I know this channel is worldwide, but mainly I'm talking to my people here in America, in the United States of America. In any case, if you're not in the country, like wherever you're at, I have updated my course, Naming Your Clothing Brand, here, and you should check it out on CBA. And also, if you are on this beginning stage of naming your clothing brand, get my free course, Prelaunch. This is gonna be worth its weight in gold, and I updated that not too long ago as well. Right before the beginning of 2024, I updated that. So naming your clothing brand is updated and Prelaunch is updated. I'm trying to give you the best content out there so your brand can make it and hit success and get proof of concept. Questions about your brand, you could drop them below, or you could email me here. Tons of solutions on CBA or clothingbrandacademy.com. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.